She didn't leave because you weren't good enough. She left because you didn't know when to stop giving. You kept apologizing, explaining, proving yourself. And every time you did, she lost another piece of respect for you. That's how attraction dies, not in explosions, but in quiet concessions. In the moments you chose peace over pride, comfort over standards, closeness over self-respect, and by the time you realize it, you've already trained her to see you as less of a man, less of a challenge, less of what she craves. These mistakes are not innocent. They're erosive, silent, devastating, and they're more common than you think. Let me walk you through the 5 things a man must never do with a woman unless he wants to watch himself disappear in her eyes. Before I walk you through these mistakes, do me a quick favor. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and tell me, what city are you watching from? I read every single comment because it shows me just how many men have been through this exact pain. Men who gave everything only to lose themselves in the process. Now let's get back to the story, because what you're about to hear isn't just about attraction. It's about how to stop being erased in a world that punishes men for being too available. Thing number 1, never seek validation from a woman. This is the fastest way to kill her attraction and your power as a man. It doesn't matter how attractive you are, how much money you make, how well you treat her. If you look to her for permission to feel good about yourself, she'll start seeing you as weak, even if she can't explain why. Validation seeking is subtle. It's disguised as kindness. You're asking if she's mad. You're over-explaining so she doesn't misunderstand. You're fishing for compliments. You want reassurance that you're still enough. But here's the cold truth. Women don't want to be your emotional support system. They don't want to be the keeper of your confidence. They want to feel your centeredness, your groundedness, your ability to stand still when everything else is spinning. When you seek validation, you put her in a role she never asked for. You make her the judge, the authority, the mirror you stare into, hoping to see something you like. Stop seeking validation. Start giving it. Not in a manipulative way, not with flattery or compliments, but with real, masculine observation. Notice her energy. Challenge her gently. Say, "You look like someone who's used to being admired. I wonder how you handle being truly seen. Now you're in control of the frame. Now you're the one evaluating, not begging." Step 3. Build an identity she can't touch. Your worth isn't in her praise. It's in your posture, your voice, your presence. When you walk into a room, you don't wait to be liked. You know who you are, and that knowing is louder than anything she can say. Here's the paradox most men never grasp. The less you seek her approval, the more attracted she becomes. Not because you're playing games, but because you've stopped making her your oxygen. You don't orbit her. You don't bend to stay liked. You don't perform to earn affection. You exist. You lead. You let her choose whether to join your world. That's what confidence really is. Not volume, not bravado, but emotional independence. And in a world full of men who constantly ask, "Am I enough?" the man who doesn't ask stands out. Women feel it in their bones. That silent self-assurance, that emotional detachment, that core of identity that says, "I like me. Whether you do or not is none of my business." So if you've been wondering why she's pulling away, why the texts are dry, why the intimacy is fading, check your energy. Have you handed her the responsibility of keeping your self-esteem alive? If so, take it back. Because the moment you stop seeking validation is the moment you start radiating value. And she will feel it, even if she doesn't know why. And once she senses that dynamic, something inside her shifts. Respect fades, desire cools, and eventually she pulls away. Not because you were bad, but because you became invisible, emotionally dependent, energetically low, psychologically weak. Most men don't realize they're doing this. They think being transparent is strength. They confuse openness with neediness. But a woman can feel the difference. And the more she feels your need for her approval, the more she disconnects. Let me tell you something most guys never hear. Women are drawn to men who validate themselves, not arrogantly, not performatively, but quietly, solidly, consistently. So how do you break the addiction to validation? Step 1. Detach from her reaction. If you say something funny, don't turn your head to check if she laughed. If you share an opinion, don't shrink if she disagrees. You are not a dog waiting for a treat. You are a man with a spine. Step 2. Flip the energy. Thing number 2, never put a woman on a pedestal. It sounds noble, romantic, like something a gentleman should do. Treat her like a queen, and she'll treat you like a king. But that's not how attraction works. That's how delusion works. Because the moment you place her above you, she has to look down to see you. And no woman desires a man she looks down on. Here's the brutal truth. She doesn't want to be worshipped. She wants to be challenged. She wants to feel something real, not a fantasy you created around her. Most men pedestalize women because they've been conditioned to think love is earned through effort. Be extra nice. Compliment her endlessly. Agree with everything she says. Sacrifice your standards to make her happy. But that's not love. That's submission. And women don't fall in love with submissive men. They fall in love with equals. With men who respect them, but also respect themselves. Let me ask you something. Would you admire a man who's constantly trying to impress you? Who laughs too hard at your jokes? Who never disagrees? Who apologizes for having needs? Of course not. So why do you think she would? When you pedestalize her, you're not showing love. You're showing fear. Fear that if you show your flaws, she'll leave. Fear that if you disagree, she'll withdraw. Fear that if you stop performing, you'll lose her. But the paradox is this: the more perfect you act, the less she trusts you. Because real men have edges. They have opinions. They have standards. They don't orbit a woman. They invite her to orbit them. So how do you stop putting her on a pedestal? Step 1. Stop over-complimenting. If every sentence you say is about how beautiful, smart, or amazing she is, she'll stop believing it. Not because it's not true, but because you're not saying it from a place of grounded observation. You're saying it to earn points, to seek favor, and she can feel that. Compliments only matter when they're rare and real. Step 2. Get a life. Seriously. Most men pedestalize women because they have nothing else going on. No mission, no purpose, no identity outside of her. And when she becomes your center, she loses respect because she doesn't want to be the reason you exist. Start building a world she wants to join, not a world that collapses if she leaves. Step 3. Call her out. Yes, you heard that right. If she's acting entitled, say it. If she crosses a boundary, correct it. A woman doesn't test you to destroy you. She tests to see if there's anything solid in you. Most men fail that test. They smile through disrespect. They tolerate flakiness. They explain away her bad behavior. And every time they do, they shrink in her eyes. But the man who holds the line, who says, "That doesn't work for me," who walks away when disrespected, that man is rare. That man is remembered. Because real attraction isn't about how high you lift her. It's about how firmly you stand beside her. Not above, not below, beside, with clarity, with boundaries, with a spine. Women don't want to be worshipped. They want to be seen, truly seen, and they want a man who sees them clearly, without losing sight of himself. So if you've been treating her like a goddess, hoping she'll return the favor, stop. She doesn't want a servant. She wants a man. Thing number 3, never let a woman control the relationship. This is where most men lose themselves and don't even realize it. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens gradually. You start saying yes to avoid conflict. You let her decide where things are going. You apologize just to keep the peace, even when you did nothing wrong. At first, it feels like harmony, like you're being the bigger man. But what you're actually doing is handing over the frame. And once she has the frame, once she senses that you'll bend every time she pushes, the dynamic shifts. She stops seeing you as a leader. She starts seeing you as manageable, predictable, forgettable. Because here's the brutal truth. Women don't want to lead. They want to trust your leadership. And if they don't feel it, they'll either take control or check out emotionally. Now, I'm not talking about being controlling. This isn't about domination or ego. It's about direction, purpose, stability. The masculine energy leads. The feminine energy responds. When you flip that, when you let her dictate the emotional tone, the decisions, the direction, you become passive. You become her project, and eventually her burden. Let me paint the picture. She wants to know where you two stand. You say, whatever you want. She tests your boundary. You say, it's fine. She pulls away. You chase. And the more you give up your authority, the more uncertain she feels. Because now she has to be both the woman and the man. She's managing your emotions, setting the tone, steering the relationship, and that's not a role she wants to play. So how do you stop giving away control? Step 1. Stop fearing her reactions. Most men lose the frame because they're terrified of upsetting her. They think one disagreement will end the relationship. So they agree to everything, avoid all tension, and walk on eggshells. But a woman respects a man who can stay grounded, even when she's emotional. She doesn't want a yes man. She wants a man who can hold space without folding. Step 2. Start setting the pace. Lead the direction. Be decisive. If you're dating, you choose where you're going. Not just geographically, but emotionally. Are you building something? Are you evaluating her character? Are you living your mission and letting her join? Too many men drift. They let the woman define the "what are we" moment. They wait to see how she feels before they even check in with themselves. Step 3. Enforce boundaries early. If she's testing your time, your energy, your values, respond. Not with anger, not with drama, but with clarity. Say, I don't tolerate being disrespected. I don't do inconsistency. I don't build with someone who doesn't bring their best. Not as a threat, but as a standard. Because when a woman knows you won't tolerate chaos, she either levels up or leaves. And either outcome is a win. Here's the paradox. The man who doesn't let a woman control the relationship gives her what she craves most, certainty. She may fight it, she may test it, but if you stay grounded, if you don't flinch, she will lean in. Because deep down, she doesn't want control. She wants trust. She wants to feel like she can relax into your strength, not carry the weight of your indecision. So if you've been apologizing too much, letting things slide, trying to keep the peace, stop. You're not here to be agreeable. You're here to be immovable in your direction. That's what earns her respect. That's what keeps her attraction alive. Not by force, but by presence. You lead. She follows. Not because she has to, but because she wants to. Thing number 4. Never be afraid to walk away. This one separates the men who get toyed with from the men who get respected. The biggest mistake you can make with a woman is letting your fear of losing her override your standards. Because once you do, you've handed her your power, and she will feel it instantly. See, most men stay far too long in situations they've outgrown. They tolerate disrespect. They put up with manipulation. They rationalize emotional distance, hot and cold behavior, broken promises, all because they don't want to lose her. But here's the paradox. The man who is least afraid to walk away is the one she's most afraid to lose. Why? Because he's not with her out of need. He's with her by choice. And that choice can change. That's power, not the power to control her, but the power to protect yourself. Let's be clear. Walking away isn't about punishing her. It's not a tactic. It's a boundary. It says, I don't stay where I'm not valued. I don't beg for attention. I don't lower myself to keep anyone around. And women feel that deeply because every other man has tolerated her worst. But you don't even flinch. You don't threaten. You don't explain. You just leave. And that silence, that calm detachment, it pierces deeper than any argument ever could. But most men fail here. They announce their exit. They try to trigger guilt. They say things like, "You'll regret this." And then they check her stories. They text a few days later. They look back. That's not walking away. That's trying to be missed. And women can smell that desperation from miles away. So how do you walk away with strength? Step 1. Don't make it a scene. Leave quietly, with dignity, with your spine straight and your mouth shut. Step 2. Don't make it about her. You're not leaving because she's too much. You're leaving because you refuse to accept less than you deserve. You're not running away. You're rising above. Step 3. Never look back. No breadcrumb texts, no late-night check-ins, no just wanted to see how you're doing. The moment you look back, you lose the power you just claimed. Now, let's be clear. Walking away doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start caring about yourself more. It means your standards are non-negotiable. It means you don't stay in spaces that shrink you. It means you'd rather be alone with your dignity than partnered with disrespect. So, when should you walk away? 1. When she disrespects you, mocking your ambitions, belittling your effort, testing your patience like it's a game. 2. When she plays mind games, hot one day, cold the next, breadcrumbing, stringing you along, keeping you in a state of confusion. 3. When she treats you like an option, if you're doing all the effort, if she's non-committal, if she's emotionally unavailable but still keeps you around, leave. You don't owe her your presence. She has to earn it. And the man who walks away sends a message no woman forgets. I am the prize, not because I say it, but because I live it. That kind of man is rare, because most men stay too long. They try to fix what's broken. They beg, they chase, they negotiate. But a man who walks without turning back, that man triggers something deeper than desire. He awakens respect. So if you're in a situation where your value isn't being seen, don't raise your voice. Don't plead for recognition. Just get up and go. She'll remember the silence. She'll feel the absence. And maybe, just maybe, she'll realize you were the one she should have fought to keep. Thing number 5. Never be inconsistent with who you are. This is one of the most subtle, but most devastating mistakes a man can make. Because it doesn't just kill attraction, it kills trust. And once a woman stops trusting your core, she can never truly desire you again. Most men think they're being adaptable. They change depending on the situation, the mood, the people around them. They laugh more when she's laughing. They act deep when she wants to talk about feelings. They shift their tone, their opinions, even their values, just to be liked. But here's the truth. Every time you change to please someone else, you lose a piece of yourself. And women can feel that. They don't always say it. They don't always understand it. But they feel it in their nervous system when something in you is off. Because what she craves, more than your looks, your money, or your charm, is stability. Not financial, not superficial, but emotional, psychological, energetic. She wants to feel that no matter what's happening around you, you remain the same man. And most men fail that test. They say they want commitment, but run when things get tough. They say they love deep connection, but shut down when it gets real. They act confident around friends, but become insecure when alone with her. This inconsistency makes her feel unsafe, not in a physical way, but in an emotional way. Because now she doesn't know which version of you she's getting. The charming one, the cold one, the fun one, the anxious one. And when she starts guessing, she starts withdrawing. Not out of malice, but out of protection. So how do you become consistent? Step 1. Define your values. If you don't know what you stand for, you'll fall for anything. Take time to get painfully clear on your non-negotiables, your mission, your emotional standards, your boundaries. And once you do, live by them. Not when it's convenient, not when it's easy, but especially when it's uncomfortable. Step 2. Be the same man in every room. Whether you're with your boss, your best friend, or the woman you're sleeping with, don't switch up. Adapt your delivery, sure, but never your essence. She should be able to close her eyes, feel your energy, and know it's you, every time. Step 3. Match your words with your actions. If you say you'll call, call. If you say you don't tolerate disrespect, prove it. If you claim to value loyalty, embody it. Because the moment your behavior contradicts your message, you lose credibility. And when you lose credibility, you lose her. Remember this: women are biologically wired to seek out dependable men. Not predictable in a boring sense, but dependable in a primal sense. A man who doesn't flinch, who doesn't bend, who doesn't dissolve under pressure. That's the kind of man she can relax with, trust in, open up to, and that's the kind of man most women rarely encounter. So if you've been inconsistent, changing your tone, your beliefs, your vibe, just to keep her interested, stop. She doesn't want a man who adapts to her every whim. She wants a man who shows her what consistency looks like in a chaotic world. A man who says what he means what he says, and never betrays himself to be liked. Because here's the truth: the most attractive trait a man can possess is integrity with himself. And in a world full of chameleons, the man who stays true becomes unforgettable. Now let's bring this all home. You've just walked through 5 things a man must never do with a woman. 5 behaviors that don't just make you less attractive, they make you invisible, forgettable, replaceable. And maybe you've recognized yourself in one or all of them. Maybe you've been the man who needed her validation to feel worthy. The man who worshipped her, hoping to be loved back. The man who lost the frame, surrendered control, and called it keeping the peace. The man who stayed far too long just to avoid being alone. Or the man who molded himself into whatever she needed, thinking that's what love looks like. But here's the truth: you were never rejected for being too honest, too kind, too devoted. You were rejected because you gave away your power, and she felt it. Attraction is never about being everything she wants. It's about being unshakably yourself, regardless of who's watching. It's about holding your standards when it's hard, speaking your truth when it's risky, walking away when it hurts, and never needing her to tell you you're enough because you already know. That's the man she respects. That's the man she chases. That's the man who doesn't just win her. He makes her rise to meet him. So ask yourself, right now, are you showing up as that man? Or are you hoping she won't notice how much of yourself you've abandoned just to keep her around? Because in a world full of men who bend, break, and beg, the man who stands unshaken, that man becomes a legend. If this woke something up in you, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, subscribe for more, and drop a comment telling me which of the 5 mistakes hit you the hardest. I read every single one, not just to connect, but to remind you, you're not alone, you're not broken, and you're one decision away from becoming the kind of man no woman ever forgets.